Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of ElitesTV with myself, Mitch Panias. And today I'm delighted to say that joining us we've got Ryan Huddart. He's a goalkeeper for Bromley FC. Ryan's been in a variety of youth academies, and as a predominantly youth football show, I want to pick your brain, Ryan, a little bit about your experiences. Thanks for jumping on, man. I appreciate you giving me your time. I'd like to kind of take you back right to the beginning of your football days. So I know you got picked up at Charlton when you was a young lad.
Yes.
But before that,
I've got a couple. Before that. I started off playing when I was 6. My dad was a goalkeeper. Played semi-professional. Played for Maidstone, Canterbury, Tunbridge Wells. My granddad was also a goalkeeper. He played for Carlisle, Gillingham, Aldershot, Blackpool. Ended up playing for Ramsgate. That's why my family ended up living in Margate area. And then, I started playing as far as I can remember, I've been in the garden and my dad throwing balls at me and telling me to catch it. And then from there, I went to Gillingham at the age of maybe 7 or 8. I signed for Gillingham, and that was a time where Charlton showed interest in me. We played Charlton in a one-off Saturday game, and I done really, really well. And from there, a guy called Bert Dawkins, the chief scout, who's now still the chief scout at Charlton, approached my dad. And from there, I very quickly signed for Charlton. Do you want me to carry on?
I do, but I just because it's interesting. I didn't know that about your father and your grandfather. So obviously, you'd been around football men for a long time, and it sounds like you played for quite a lot of clubs when you was young. But what was it, apart from the family influence? What was it that really drew you to the game as a young lad?
I think as a young boy, going and watching first team football made me want to become a football player. It wasn't being in the park. It was going and watching those first team games, whether it be Margate in front of 300 people or Charlton in front of 25,000, or going to the Priestfield watching Gillingham play, being so close to a first team and enjoying, losing and winning. And that's when I think I fell in love with football the most. Was going to watch games.
From my memory, Charlton are quite a renowned academy back then. What was it like to go and play at an academy after you got signed by them?
Well, so I signed for Charlton's academy when I was 9. And I was very lucky to have one of the best goalkeeper coaches I've ever come across. I managed to start working with when I was 9 years of age. That's a guy called Lee Smelt. And to a point, I was in a good team at Charlton as well. When we were 9, we had Casey Palmer in our team, who now plays for Huddersfield. I think he's at Huddersfield. Bristol City is at now. We had Joe Gomez in our team, who now obviously plays for Liverpool. And at the time when I was about 12, 13, Charlton got relegated from the Premier League to the Championship, then to the Championship to League One within about 3 years. And the money got completely pulled out of the academy. Lee left, so my goalkeeper coach, who I adored, that I loved working under, had left because they needed to cut the budget there completely, and he went to Arsenal. And then when I was still playing up at that time. I was really doing well at that time. I was probably one of the best young goalies in the country. And then when Lee left at that time, and I went to Liverpool on trial. I went to Chelsea on a trial. Chelsea wanted to sign me. And then Arsenal kind of just happened to quit with them. At the age of 14, it kind of just clicked in. And once in the summer, they said, let's come in. Obviously, I knew Lee was there. So I already had a big ally there. And then I signed for Arsenal when I was 14. Liam Brady signed me. I was always one of the first in, last out. But I was never one to be in the gym stretching doing that extra mile. I was always wanting to learn from the rest and not maybe concentrate on myself, if you get what I mean.
Mm.
I was always trying to learn from them, what were they doing, and probably not concentrating on myself as much as I should have. And also, when I look back now, you know, for years I worked with 3 years. For 3 years I worked with Peter Cech, and before that with Wojciech, and they were always the goalie in the goal. So if we were training, it would always be Wojciech. Peter Cech would go in goal first, and then it would be David Ospina. Then it would be Emi Martins. Then it would be Matt Macy. Then it would be me. And me and Matt would always do less because we're the younger goalie. And it would always be the senior guys that got everything. But I preferred to work with them than work with the reserves, because I always felt that I learned so much from being with them. I had six years full time, 6 great years, and I would never change that for the world.
And how did it come about that you finally had to leave Arsenal, and how did you feel when that happened?
It was October time, and I went in to see Jerry. I said, Jerry, what do you think will happen at the end of the season? Will I be here next year? And he said, let me go away and speak to the boss and speak to Dick Law at that time. And I'll come back to you. Dick Law was head of operations. And so he came back to me a week later and said, Ryan, I'm going to give you the best possible chance of getting the best move you can get. And he said, I want you to start looking for another club for next season. And so my agent went to try and get me a new club. And I went to Sunderland on trial in January. I was there for a week, I think, a few days, and then I went to Palace on trial. In February time, I went to Crystal Palace. They were in and around the bottom of the Premier League then, and I was training with Dean Kiley in the first team, Wayne Hennessy. Then I was training with them every day, and I loved it. A bit like training with Pete, you know. I just loved being around that real first team environment, working with top goalies. Mm. And there was kind of a slot there for me. I could see like a slot between the 23s and first team, a bit like what I was at Arsenal. And I didn't find out till a year or so later that my agent asked for too much money for me. They tried to match what I was earning at Arsenal, and that jeopardised me going there. And, you know, this is what I mean, there's so many uncontrollables as a player that for me I wasn't in control of that situation. I never even knew of it until further down the line. And I missed out on that opportunity, but I spent 3 weeks training there, and I worked with Roy Hodgson. And Roy Hodgson, I remember him bringing us all together and saying to us all, and he learnt my name from the first day. And don't get me wrong, I was a no one going into Crystal Palace. I was in and around their first team, and he learnt my name. He wanted to know background on me, and he, you know, that's why these managers, they're top managers, because they go that extra mile, you know. And he knew my name, and he pulled in the whole group, and he said, I've never been relegated, and I'm not going to start getting relegated now. And, you know, he was 70. He said, and I thought then, Jesus, to have that hunger still at his age, you know, that's why he's a real top coach. And he was speaking 3 or 4 different languages on the training pitch. I thought then, even just working under him, you could see why he was such a great manager as well. And I was real gutted when I didn't get to sign for them. So I'm not with that agent anymore.
No, I was going to ask about one. I'm pretty sure I know the answer.
I'm not with that agent anymore. And then from there, I went to Colchester, showed interest in me in that summer. So I spent 2 weeks there on trial with them, and that was with their first team. So I thought, oh, this is promising. You know, dropping out of Arsenal, going into League Two at a club like Colchester. They always bring through young players. And then I think my agent asked for too much money again, because I remember meeting Rennie a few years later, and he offered you this. Last season, actually, I met up with him, and he said, we offered you this, and your agent wanted this, and it was just never going to work, because because you were young and we wanted to get you to see. So that was two things that I missed out on. And then the summer come and I was out of contract. And to be honest with you, I was on the phone the whole summer. Me. I was phoning up every possible contact I had in my mobile in football. I was phoning. I spoke to Tony Adams end of that season as well. You know, Tony tried for me, and I really did give it my best shot. I thought I just need a chance, and you need a bit of luck. And I went up to Bradford. Funny enough, Steve Back, who I used to train with his son, and we were at the age of 8 and 9. Steve was the goalie coach at Bradford, and I managed to get hold of Steve's number from his son. Steve, and they wanted a young number 2 to push the number 1 they had. I thought, oh, perfect. So they invited me up, first 2 weeks of pre-season. Bearing in mind, I wasn't training anywhere either because I didn't have a club. Yeah. So they invited me up, and I went on a training camp with them for 2 weeks and done really well, actually. Fitted in. I could really see myself being there. Steve, you know, could trust me and was going to be an ally for him and vice versa. And I got pulled in. It was a Saturday. England were in the World Cup and it was that really hot summer. And I got pulled into the manager's office. He was a young guy at the time. I can't remember his name now. Just finished playing. He was a manager. And he pulled me in, and Steve was there, and head of recruitment was there. And they said, right, we want to sign you. We don't want to muck around, like be negotiating on the contract for too long. We just want to get it done, get you moved up here and get away. And I thought, I was driving home thinking, I was driving all the way from Bradford back to Broadstairs thinking, great. And then next day, Steve rang me and said, the chairman wants to sign it off. He won't sign it off yet. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, they want to have a look at a German goalie. The chairman was German, and he wanted to bring in and have a look at a German goalie himself. You really start doubting, is this to be? You know, is football really meant to be? 2 years before, I was sitting on Champions League benches. I'm like, can't even get anything at all. And actually, I'll come back to that in a minute. And then the whole summer, the Boreham Wood manager, and I played all my reserve games at Boreham Wood. And the Boreham Wood manager was calling me every week, like, what's your situation? I want to sign you. I want you to be our number 1 next year in the National League. And I'd already played in the National League 3 years before for Eastleigh. I spent 6 months there on loan. And in my time at Eastleigh, it was a real whirlwind rollercoaster. We had 3 managers, 45 different players. They had an unlimited budget from the National League. They went hell-bent on getting into the league, and it was a real mess. And it kind of left a sour taste in my mouth to want to go to the National League, to be honest, because I was constantly getting dropped, and then I was getting picked up again, and then the new manager come in, brought in his goalie, and then getting in the team, getting dropped. It was never any continuity as a young goalie. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to give myself a chance and go and play week in, week out, because if I can do it now, rather than going sitting on a bench in the league or trying to wait for someone to get injured, I put myself as number 1. And so I signed, and it was a week before the season started. And I signed, and I really enjoyed it. And I played the whole season, really. I played 38 games. I've done really well. I played England Seas. From there, Bromley come in for me. Bromley come in for me in October. The goalie at Bromley dislocated his shoulder, and so they signed me, and I've been there ever since. I played 24 games for them this season. I signed for them in October. I played 38 games last year, so yeah, I played over nearly enough. What have I played now? Nearly 65, 63, 64 games in the National League at the age of 23. So, which is quite, for my age, I played a lot of games for a goalie. And I started coaching. Obviously, I started coaching, and I coached this season at West Ham's academy. So I've kind of got back into that elite environment from coaching there, which I've also really enjoyed. because I can really relate to the young goalies there. It was only 2 minutes ago in my own mind that I was in their shoes.
How do you deal with that period where there is some rejection and where the future's kind of not clear? You know, you've been at Arsenal for a long time, and then to kind of go to be released and not have a clear destination of where you're going. How does a young person deal with that?
It's really hard, to be honest with you. It was very hard, and I'm lucky that I've got a lot of good friends around me up here that I've met so many great friends for life since I've lived in North London. And you kind of, it's all you ever know. So football's all I've ever known. And you kind of get stuck in this, it's not like a pathway. So when you go to uni, you kind of sit there and you kind of work out what you want to do and go down. With football, you're in it and you're scared to come out of it. You're kind of stuck in it. And it's a bubble that you live in. You know, it's such a great sport to play at the top level. Don't get me wrong, I've loved playing in it lower down, and I really have enjoyed it. It's a different animal. Because, you know, when you look at young goalies and young defenders, I put them both in the same bracket. It's very hard coming through academies and then at that top level for a first-team manager to really put faith in you and to put his head on the block. For a young defender and goalkeeper, the manager's got to have real balls, and there's not many that do. So from there, that player still has to find his experience. Can he get experience in the Championship? Maybe not. Can he then get experience in League One? Maybe not. Can he then? But then it's hard because the player doesn't want to go to League Two or the National League because it's seen beneath him. You know, you're at Arsenal's academy or West Ham or Liverpool or Tottenham or Chelsea or wherever you're at, even Charlton's, and you think, oh, you don't want to go there. It's like, you know, then that's where the rubbish players go, in your head, right? And then you go there and they're good players, don't get me wrong. I've seen some great players in the National League that come back to luck. They haven't had that little bit of luck maybe that other players have had. And like I say, I think every young player needs a little bit of luck, and they need someone to believe in them, and they need someone to give them a chance. For wingers and forwards, it's easy to go on and get 10, 15 minutes at the end of the game. You know, look at Eddie Nketiah in Arsenal's first team now. He went on against Norwich in the Carling Cup, scored 2 goals. He's a hero overnight. You know, for goalies and defenders, it's never going to happen. You know, it's very rare that you're going to get 10, 15 minutes. Well, it's not going to happen. The boss is never going to chuck on a centre half 10, 15 minutes to go when they're 2-0 up, let's say. So, yeah, I'd say to any young player that's out there that's having dealt with knockbacks is keep believing in yourself, but at the same time, don't channel vision just to football. Because, you know, like me, I left school under year 11. It's important to really have something else to fall back on. Let's say your schoolwork or something else. You know, football is a real craze and it's a real addictive sport. And you fall in love with it and you're willing to do anything just to play. But there will come a day where you think, oh, is this really for me, this sport? And that day, you really do need to have something in the background, you know, because otherwise it's even scarier. I don't know.
So where do you think you might be in 2 years, 3 years, or where would you like to see yourself, and how would you like to see the next years pan out?
I want to be playing as high as I possibly can. I really do. I want to be playing as high as I can, and whatever level that might be. I'm also, you know, I'm willing to go and play anywhere in the world. When I left Arsenal, that was something that I made clear to my agent, is that I'm not just one of these players that wants to play in the UK. I was willing to play anywhere in the world, because football is a language in itself. It really is a tough sport, and if I was to give advice to the young NCF players to play at that top level, or even to get a career in the game, you just need to give everything you can. Work on your left foot, right foot. If you don't like heading, you need to learn to head it. You know, as goalies, you need to learn on clearing with your left foot, chipping it into midfield players, playing out from the back. Football's changing all the time. And you really do need to give absolutely everything in your power to become a footballer. You get your 8 hours sleep, you eat right, don't eat rubbish, you stretch, you do all the online stuff that I'm sure John O and Nick have been setting, because the rewards for playing at the top level, as you see, is so huge. You play and you can have great lives even from playing League One, League Two, Championship. You can finish it going to coaching, and you can really have a life in football. And my story, I was training at the top level and I fell off. And it's in trying to make a career in the game is hard. And I really do question, and I always say this even at West Ham, I really do question if these top academies are in it to make careers for players, or are they in it just to make that 1 or 2 great players for their first team, if you get what I mean. Do these top academies make it so when you leave at 21, you can get a career in the game? I don't think they do. I think the whole academy structure is to get that one player in the first team, and the rest don't really. Do you know what I mean? It's not. Whereas for me, I think Charlton's academy, if you see the amount of players that come out of Charlton that get careers, not just playing Charlton's first team, but actually get a career out of the game, play till 35, they've got a higher rate than those top academies. So I'd really say to the young boys, if you're getting looked at by these top academies, it's not always the best ones going to these big clubs, because you might not ever get in the first team. Whereas at your Charltons, your Southend's, your Millwalls, your Palaces, who's near us, your Stevenages, let's say, you'll get a chance in their first team if you're good enough. 18, 19, they'll definitely stick you in, and then from there you never know. You might play 1-2 good seasons, bang, then you get your move to the Premier League. Because I think that's a better route than that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Going from bottom to top, then top to bottom, trying to work your way back up again.
Do you think when they are let go that there's enough support for young players when they're kind of let go at 15, 16, 17?
No, I don't think there is. I don't think there is at all. I don't think the Premier League do enough. I don't think the FA do enough. I think the dropout rate's so big. I think they need to do more in education, to be honest. I think the education side of the scholarship that players get, there needs to be more. And they don't really, for me, give them an education. So let's say 10 of those 25 that get released maybe don't ever play football again, let's say, or they don't get a career. Then they're really on their back. They've got no education. They're then chasing the guys that have been at uni for 2 years. They're 2 years behind them. And I question if the Premier League and the FA do enough for academy players, because it's moved on so much. The scouting network's so huge. You're not just up against your teammates anymore coming through the academy. You're up against the whole world, because it's on their laptop. On Y-Scout, you can see every game across Europe and more. And any good ones on there, they go and send a scout to watch for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks to get him in on trial. They sign him and you don't even know. He's not even in your changing room. So it's so cutthroat, really. And it really is. It's scary for young players coming out of academy football. It really is.
Ryan, it's great. It's been really interesting, man. Thanks so much.
When you do get back out there, all the best, and I'm sure I'll see you down. Are you going to come and ref another game for ElitesTV?
Yeah, I'd like to come down. I need to speak to Paul. I'd like to come down and take a few sessions as well with the young goalies.
Oh, wicked. Right. Anyway, thanks so much, man. I'm going to leave you to it.
Lovely talk. Yeah, brilliant.
Wicked.
No worries.
All right. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I had a great time, and good luck to all the boys at NCF. Keep going.
Go on the Elites.
See you soon. Come on, the Elites. See you later.
Nice one. Cheers. Bye.
Always a pleasure to talk to Ryan. He articulates himself so well with a real eye for detail as well, and he's full of stories. And and he's very observational with his time, his memories, and when he relays it to you, he really wants to make sure that you understand what he's saying. And I love that about him. So thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. We've got more Q&As coming up. Some roundtable discussions, highlights from the Coaches Cup so far. Thanks for watching and stay safe. See you next time.